All right, let's make money online. Hi, George here with another complete how to make money online step-by-step tutorial. This time we'll see how to set up an Etsy store. In future videos, I'll show you how to create digital downloads for sale and how to create a t-shirt business using print on demand. So be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss that next important money-making tutorial. Okay, here we are on Etsy, and this is a site where you can sell handcrafted goods, vintage items which are older than 20 years, craft supplies, and things that can go into that. Now, even though that's their stated list, you can sell a lot more on here depending upon what it is and how it kind of works into those basic categories. As you see here, I did a search for printables. It has some things that can be downloaded and then printed on people's own computers and their own printers. So it's not as if these are handcrafted items. They're not craft supplies. They're not vintage, but they do kind of fall into that category someplace, and they're allowed on Etsy. So it's a great way to set up a beginning shop. But first, before you can do any of this stuff, you have to sign up to Etsy. Okay, first step is you need to register an Etsy account. Go up here where it says sign in, click on that. Now I already have an account that's blocked out up there, but at the top of this you'll see register up here. Click on register. We can then register a new account. You need to put in your email address, first name, and create a password to register. I'll go ahead and I'll do that little bit here. Okay, that was fast. And we now have our new account. Now, there are two things up here to look at. The first one is updates, and you should get this little notification in here of your first update. And the second one over here is your account. Click on that arrow. You can then see your account in here. Of course, I called mine George. Why not? That's my name. Look at your purchases and reviews, gift card balance, messages, your offers, account settings. We're looking at these two. Let's first set up account settings. There are a couple of things that you do need to have set up in here. And here we go. If you want to, you can edit your public profile. We'll take a look at that. You can connect your accounts in here, Facebook, Google, Twitter. If you have a following on these, this can help you to get your following over here to your store. Not a bad thing. You can come down here where it says password, and you can change your password right there if you feel like it. If you need to do that, I recommend doing that every once in a while just to be on the safe side. Now, even though Etsy logged us right in, they will have sent you a confirmation email to your email account. So wait for that and then click on the link in the confirmation email to confirm that email. And there are a few things up here. Most important one is security. And right here we have two-factor authentication. You don't need to have this if you're just buying things online. That's not important. If you are going to be selling online, then you have to have two-factor authentication enabled. And there are different ways of doing this. Of course, as you can see down here, the email must be verified first. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And once I've verified the email, we'll then take a look at the two-factor authentication. Okay, took care of that. That was easy, just an email with a button on it to verify your email address. No problem with that. You then can come down here and do two-factor authentication. You can do this either with an authenticator app, that's my preferred way of doing things, or with SMS, or with your phone, or you can also bring in backup codes. So choose the way that you want to authenticate your account, and it will then do that for you. Let's do this one as an SMS. Of course, that's just your text messaging. So all of these require that you have a smartphone, except for the backup codes right down here. This will come in once you have this stuff done. So you will have to have a smartphone to do this next step. I'll just do the SMS. Just click over here, enter in your phone number, and then work through the prompts. I'll go ahead and I'll do that off camera, and we'll get that set up. Let's now set up our public profile up here. You need to have a picture, and this needs to be a JPEG, GIF, or PNG file. It cannot have any animation or transparency. If there's any transparency on any of these things, it's just going to fill that transparent area with black. You don't want that. The file needs to be smaller than 10 megabytes in size and at least 400 by 400, although Etsy recommends 500 by 500. So I'll go ahead and upload one of those. Now I already have one made. And notice how this is a circular format. Don't worry about that. They will automatically crop it to a circle. So going to choose file. And I have my picture right here. Choose open. There we go. There's that file. Now you won't see anything yet. If I scroll down, there's a Save Changes button right down here. So we'll see that in just a moment. You can change your name right here. I'll leave my name as George. That works out fine. You can choose what gender you are. Put down male. Now if you have a local store, an actual storefront, you may want to put down a city in here in case people are doing a local search for stores in their area. I don't have that, so we're not doing that. You need to put down a month and day for your birth. This isn't required, but you can put that on if you want to. Remember, anything on this page is visible to the public. You can add in a little about statement here. And if you want to, you can put down favorite materials. This is just things that you like to work with. And then include your profile on your shop. favorite items, and favorite shops. I'll leave all that checked. You can come back and change these at any time in the future. So I'll go ahead and I'll fill in the about at a later time. Let's just get this one page finished. The important part here is that picture. Choose Save Changes. And there we go. There's a profile picture nicely cropped into that circle format. And again, you can always come back here at any point and change your public profile. Okay, moving on over here, we have Preferences. Just some basic options, nothing to worry about in here. Privacy options in here. You can clear recently viewed items. You can request your data for download to see what they are saving if you want to. You can request deletion of your data if you want to do that. You can allow people to find you by your email address or not. It's up to you. I use my public address, so that's fine. And you can choose whether or not to have personalized advertising. That's a personal choice, so make your own decision on that one. We have addresses and credit cards and emails. You can adjust all of these things. Now, credit cards, this actually isn't how you're being paid. This is how you are making purchases on Etsy. So you can't fill in anything here until you make a purchase, at which point you can then choose to use a credit card and then choose whether or not to save that credit card to your Etsy account. If you do that and you save your card to your Etsy account, you'll then see that in here in the credit cards section right there. Okay, so our account is now set up. Notice we have our icon up here, our avatar showing inside of our account right there. That's all taken care of. And now we can take a look at selling on Etsy right down here. And that takes you to this page, which gives us some basic information here about selling on Etsy. Let's just scroll down a bit. Just some basic information again right here. If we go down a bit further, here's the important part, and this is your fee structure. Now it's important to notice this one that there is a 20-cent listing fee, and that's really cheap. You put up 5 things for $1, 10 things for $2, and the listings are good for 4 months. So that's quite good. That's a very inexpensive listing amount. There's a transaction fee right down here. When you sell an item, Etsy will be taking this much out of your sale price. They'll also be taking 3% plus 25 cents as a payment processing fee. So they're doing about 9.5, 9.75, we'll just say 10%. That's a good average here, just under 10% coming out for Etsy fees. That's not bad. You also can choose to advertise offsite. I think this is a good idea. If anything sells from an offsite listing, they'll then also charge a 15% offsite ads fee. And again, the more places you're visible, the better off you are. And since this only applies if you sell something, this is a great way to get advertised off of Etsy. Not a bad idea to do. Okay, let's go ahead and keep on scrolling on down here. It has some built-in tools. One of those is that you can download the Etsy app and then manage your store from the app, but you have to set the store up on a desktop computer, which is what we're doing right here. Once it's set up, I could then download the app and manage the store from the app. But setup has to be done through a desktop computer and a browser window. Okay, right down here, there are 2 ways to go for setting up your store. One is the standard. There's no monthly charge, just those sales fees we already talked about. And I recommend starting with the standard one here. There's no reason to be spending any additional money until you're making money. The Plus plan gives you a lot more to help grow your Etsy store, your Etsy shop. And as soon as you're making enough to afford that, once you're making more than $10 a month, you can consider to upgrade to Plus. You can do that at any point. So wait until you're making the money. Once you're making the money, then go ahead and upgrade to Plus. And there's quite a bit that you get with that, and they list that right down here. Okay, working on down here, you can access them. They're very easy to get a hold of. They're very easy to work with. Here's some seller stories, people who have made a success here on Etsy. And don't worry about this being a real small, limited number of categories here. It actually is not that limited once you begin digging into it. You can access the seller handbook right down here. It gives you in-depth instructions on everything. And this is also an online, basically a website, so you can click on that and find out even more. But let's go ahead and start with the Etsy shop. Notice there's a link up here at the top. You can go right to that one, or right down here, same thing. Let us do this one here. Click on Start Your Store. Notice it already knows that I'm logged in, and we'll begin working through. If this is your first time selling, go ahead and check this. If you're selling for a business, right down here, if you want to expand your online business, I'm just going to assume that you're starting here, first time seller. Go to Next. In here, you can choose different topics if you want to. Decide what to sell, shop naming and branding and so forth. We'll be doing this next. But this will help to just walk you through. I'll just skip this question. Next, here we go. Okay, let's start the shop. And we're now into setting up our shop right here. First one is the shop preferences. And here's the shop language, country, and shop currency. If you don't see your country on this huge list, then you won't be able to sell on Etsy. But I think pretty much everybody's going to be on here someplace. I'm in the US, so that's fine. Now, whenever you change a setting in here, come down and click on Save and Continue right down here. We'll go ahead and do that. Here's where you name your shop. Now, there's some good naming tips in here, but basically you want something that's memorable, and then keep a couple of things in mind. One is that this can only be 4 to 20 characters. So it can't be a whole sentence, and you can't have just 2 letters in here. It has to be 4 to 20 characters. And I'm going to be doing Bodacious Penguins. Notice as you begin to type something in, it gives you some options down here. Bodacious by George, that's kind of interesting, but not what I already had planned on. And I'm calling mine Bodacious Penguins. Notice no special characters, spaces, or accidental letters. I couldn't put a space between these like that. That's not going to work. I can't put a dash in here. That's also a special character. So it's basically one word, but you can use capital letters like this to separate those 2 words. Okay, so we'll go ahead, we'll keep this one, Bodacious Penguins, and then save and continue. At this point, we need to add in at least 1 listing. It can be a partial listing. We're not going to be keeping this listing. We have to have something in here to continue past this point. So what I've done is I made a simple pattern using some space penguins as a printable on 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So it's just a real basic printable. So I'll add the photo here, and I have one right there. There we go. Now you'll need to make some kind of a dummy product. Again, it should be similar to what you're planning on selling, but doesn't have to be a finished sellable piece. We just want to have something up here so we can finish setting up our store. Now, when we get to actually putting up a real product, you want to have good photographs of that product. It's always a good idea to show the product in use somehow. Having furniture around it, having a hand working with it, anything like that is good. You can have some nice detailed photos of that, but it's best if it's in a scene so people can see how it's being used. Those really have the best results. But again, this is just a dummy product, kind of a placeholder for us as we finish this setup. I'm not doing a video right now. I'll leave that alone, but you can do videos. And I'll be talking about videos in my next video where we'll be doing an actual product. Have your listing details down here. And I'll call this one Bodacious Penguins Printable Paper Design. It's a good idea if you have this in caps. Now for actual products, you want to be working in some keywords here as well. I'm not concerned about them at this point. Okay, who made it? I did. What is it? I'll call it a supplier or tool to make things. This will be going into the crafts category. And when did I make it? Recently. There we go. So it's not in vintage. You can see how these things really are just helping to categorize on the 3 main categories. Category down here, 2 or 3 word description to get category suggestions that will help more shoppers find it. It's a printable. Clip art and image files right down here. I think this would be correct for that. Craft type down here. Let's just call this one card making and stationery. Primary color is optional. We'll leave that one alone. Secondary optional. Leave all the optional stuff alone right now. We don't need that for this use. This is all optional. Now down here, renewal options. Again, this is not necessary for this particular listing because it's a demo. But in the future, if you want to have your item continually renewed, you would want to have it set on automatic. If you want to manually renew, then just click over here on manual and type. This is very important. Is it a physical product? Are you going to be actually shipping out a physical product or having your print-on-demand partner ship out your product? That's physical. Or if it's digital, and this is digital. So I'll do that. This also will change the options that are down below here. And description, just a brief description. And notice that shoppers will only see the first few lines of your description. So make the first few lines count. Now this is where you'd be working in some keywords in here. Don't keyword spam, fill it up like that, but try to work keywords into natural language when you're writing your descriptions. And I'll just put in something short like that. If you have a production partner, you would list that right here. Now this is where you would be doing that print on demand. If you're doing t-shirts, you're having a t-shirt printable company, doing it as print on demand, this is where you would then add them in, or some other company doing a similar operation where you are designing the work and then another company was producing it for you. That would be your production partner. No group in here. Tags are optional, but this is again where you'd be putting in your keyword tags, working those in. You can have up to 13 tags. And materials, again, optional. Obviously, one of my materials here is paper. And again, these are keywords that will help to place your item inside of the search. So they're very important to actually fill these properly. Click on add to add an additional, and you have up to 13 for each one of these spots. Inventory and pricing. Let's just give this one a price of $4. And quantity, let's say I'll limit this to 100. If you have an SKU, you can use that, but it's just your own use. That's not being used by Etsy. I'm not doing any personalization on this, but you can do personalization. it's a digital file, so at this point, we'll then upload the file. Now, if it wasn't a digital file, there'd be a lot more information right down here to fill in. Let me just show you that real fast. You want to change this to a physical product, and then scroll back down again. And notice here we have a lot of things. Shipping prices, zip code, processing time, where it'd be shipped from, and so forth, handling times, tariff number if you're doing that, item weight, item size. So a lot of information in here, returns and exchanges, a lot of things that come in if you're doing a physical product. Though we're doing digital, so we'll just go back over here to digital, and none of that matters here or applies to a digital product. Notice that returns and exchanges down here. There's no returns or exchanges with digital products, so we can just not worry about that. And then simply upload your file. Click on upload, and then find your file right here, choose open. And there's a 20 megabyte file size limit on this, so keep your file sizes underneath that. This one, here it goes, it's 17, so that's just fine. So that's all set. We have everything filled in. And again, we're not going to be actually making this listing active. This is just a dummy so that we can then get the store set up. Choose save and continue. Now they recommend having 5 to start your store, and I think that's a good starting point, or even having 10 available. And once you have them all set to go, then open up your store at that point. But we can design the store before we have that set, and that's always a good idea. You don't want to be designing your store after you're listing things. It's best to do that before. Okay, we'll do this later. And now you need to tell them how you want to be paid. Pretty straightforward here. Individual or business. Most Etsy stores are individual stores. Come down here, fill in your country, first name, last name, date of birth, all your basic information in here, and then how you want to be paid. Choose your country, and I'm in the US. And then down here, connect your bank account, and then the money from your sales will be directly deposited into your bank account. Now I need to finish this step before we can go on and show you the rest of the procedure up here to finish this up. So I'll put the video on pause. I'll fill this out for myself, get this step done, and then bring the video back up again. Once you complete those steps, you'll land on this page, just a confirmation page. Let's now go down here to save and continue, and move on to set up billing. And here's where you set up the basic billing information for how you pay Etsy. And notice that this goes through a credit card right over here. So I'll go ahead and I'll fill this out and then bring the video back up again, and we'll finish off with the shop security. Okay, billing is done, and we've already taken care of two-factor authentication previously. So our security is all set, ready to go. We can now move on to opening up our shop. And we'll let Etsy work through this. And there we go, the shop is now open for business. Okay, let's do a couple of fast things in here. First off, come down here to number 5, and this is the link to your shop. So you can then use this in any of your promotions. I'll click on this, we'll go to this store. There we go, here's my current shop. Now looking around, a couple things in here. We don't have any picture over here yet for our picture. We can edit the shop right here. We also have our demo product sitting right here. Let's take care of that first. So let's go up here, go to our shop manager. We're here to listings, and here's that listing. Just put a check mark right here, and then go up here to deactivate, and deactivate the listing. And that's now deactivated. You see here, now it says move to inactive listings. So that takes care of that. We only had that there, of course, just so that we could get the store opened up. Let's now take care of a few pictures and a little bit of text for the store, make sure everything looks good, and then we'll have our store ready to go. We're here on settings, and come down to info and appearance right here. And there's a page you need to fill in. This is that little icon that we saw on the store, and we'll see it right here. That's that bit right there. And this needs to be a JPEG or GIF or PNG, not animated, smaller than 10 megabytes and at least 500 by 500 pixels. And let's take a look at their examples in here. There we go. Basically, they recommend things that are really plain and basic. And I'll just grab one of my Space Penguin pictures and drop that in. So click on Upload Your Shop icon, choose a file, and I'll use that one right there, and open up this image. Looks fine, choose Save. There we go, there's that image. You can always come back and change this little X right there. That will remove that image. You can then change to a different image if you want at any point in the future, that's fine. We then need an order receipt banner right here. And this should be a JPEG, non-animated GIF or PNG, 760 pixels by 100 pixels and no larger than 2 megabytes. So it's pretty small image size actually. And I have one of those ready to go. And here's that image right there. And you'll see the name right here once that's been loaded correctly. Now you can also link your Facebook and Twitter accounts if you want to. I'll worry about that later on. And down here, you want to come up with a shop announcement. This is going to be on your shop. Message to buyers right down here. Now this is on the receipt pages in email that buyers receive when they purchase from your shop. So this is kind of a thank you for buying from type of message. And then right down here, a message to buyers for digital items. Any information you need to give them about how to use the digital items should be in here. Also, you should mention again in this location that digital items are not returnable. And choose Save Changes. That will then make those live. And we'll take a look at the shop very quickly over here. And that's looking good so far. There are a few more things you can do. We can give the shop a title right down here. Let's put down digital downloads with a fun feeling. And I'm going to come down and click that save button whenever you make any changes in here. Back over here again, let's hit the refresh button here. And just added that right down here, right below the name of the store. You can also edit your shop directly over here. Click on the Edit Shop button. And it allows you fast access here to these different edit. For instance, editing this, just click on the Edit button here. You can edit that in this window. This will also be used in here for Google search as well. So you can highlight special listings down here if you want to. Put in photo updates, add your video. We talked about that previously. Add up to 5 photos in here with captions and story headlines and so forth. So there's a lot that you can do in here to customize and really improve the look of your shop. And we're talking about all this stuff here, making your shop look really nice in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, if you found this video useful, why don't you send me a thanks? Click on that thanks button right down there, bottom right-hand corner, right below the video. Make sure to check out my channel for more Make Money Online videos, and I'll see you next time.